So today our topic is introducing apprenticeships to schools, leadership, students, and parents. Let's move forward. All right, so you know us, you know the team, we're here, right? I'm Elise Montgomery. I'm going to allow my colleagues to introduce themselves very quickly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Candace Heron.
And I am Antoinette Sampson. Hello, everyone.
All right, so we are so excited to be here with you today. Let's keep it going. We know that we're always going to start out our meetings by revisiting our project's mission and vision. So we're going to take a brief moment, look over it silently. All right, perfect. So we know that the work that we're going to do today, our goal is to bring all of our stakeholders together. We're working together to expose our students and our community to the apprenticeship experience, right? The goal of Project Expand is to mobilize DC educators to narrow the gap between youth and the workforce by forming partnerships, fostering relationships, offering experience with apprenticeship, and providing support so that we all aim to become wonderful apprenticeship ambassadors. Next slide, please. So these are our core beliefs and practices. We know that they reflect the commitment to our collaboration and our effort to build a stronger community and expand opportunities for our youth in DC and also the broader community. And we know if we keep these beliefs and practices at the core of our being, that success is inevitable. We can't lose, right? Let's keep going. Okay, here are our norms. Throughout these sessions, we're going to keep the same 3 norms. These are what we're going to follow to make sure that we optimize the learning experience with one another. These are our guiding behaviors that's going to move how we model, how we act, and how we treat one another in these sessions. First, obviously, respect is the key. We're going to treat everyone with dignity. Everyone has different perspectives and has something to bring to the table. We're going to honor that and be mindful of cultural
Elise, I can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So whoever said they can't hear me, maybe check your volume. Everyone else, I'm okay though, right? Can hear me? Okay. I'm going to continue. So with respect, right, we're going to make sure that we're mindful of cultural differences and we're going to promote inclusivity, right? We're going to be engaged throughout this process with active participation. We're going to foster open communication and listen to all exchanging of ideas. We're going to actively listen to others and make sure that we kind of remove any distractions that are going to keep us from being present in this environment. And last but definitely not least, we're going to be all in. We're going to demonstrate our commitment to the meeting's objectives and our goals, and we're going to make sure that we contribute proactively to the success of this overall meeting. We're going to take personal accountability and responsibility for the work that we all bring, and we're going to have a great session. And with that, we're going to share some new and important information from our friend Callie. Here's Callie.
We have a website. If you click on this link that was just dropped in the chat box, this is our brand new Project Expand website. This is also where you will find the CPD roadmap. So if you click on the top menu bar that says cohort login and use the password that's in the chat box, you will have access to the CPD roadmap. When you click on each session, it will give you everything from the presentation to the recordings to the activities and the pre-work that was attached to that session. So we're very excited for you to check it out. We are adding new things every day. So save this to your bookmark bar as it is a dynamic document that you have access to at all times.
Thank you, Callie, and thank you, team, because it actually looks beautiful. It's amazing. So thank you for the hard work and putting that together. So we have 3 objectives for today's session. The first is our content connector. So we will have an opportunity to reflect on previous learning that we've done, as well as make connections to the work that we're going to do today. Next, we are going to identify a tool. You're going to get an opportunity to think of a tool and to brainstorm and work collaboratively with your colleagues on creating this tool that will help to elevate apprenticeship programs. And then lastly, we will share some upcoming assignments as well as updates regarding Project Expand. So let's get started first with our check-in, because you all know I love a good check-in. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to identify our word or theme for this new year. Since this is the first time we're seeing you in 2024. Actually, no, we had listening sessions, but our first session in the new year. So what I would like for you to do is I want you to find a word that stands out to you. Doesn't have to be the first word that you see, but the word that speaks to you. And then I want you to find that word, and then I want you to tell us in the chat, how will you apply that word in this new year? So my word for 2024 is release. And this year I will release the things that hinder me and allow space for the things that cultivate my growth. So that is my theme for this year. So if you all can start dropping them, let's see what we have. The acceptance. Accept the things I have no control over. Boundaries. So how is boundaries going to show up for you this year? What's that going to look like? Recovery, illness, health and wellness in the new year.
Oh, I like greater. Adventure, being open to new things in both work and personal life. Releasing from control. I love it. Commitment. Friendship, Brian, really? I need to stop sheltering and get out there. Okay. All right. I like that.
Good,
Oh.
good. Patient. Oh, patience. Yeah, that's my theme for the next decade, I believe. Patience.
How about connecting with individual I usually wouldn't engage with personally or professionally? Oh, Beth, this is for you. Slowing down, knowing that sometimes things take time. Slow down.
Passion. Fostering more things that ignite passion or things that I'm passionate about.
Okay.
Movements. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you all. Thank you all. So I want you to consider those themes and pay attention to how it's showing up for you in this entire year, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our content connector. I want us to reflect on the things that we have done actually since the last time we've met, which was in November. So since then, you've had an opportunity to not only finalize your elevator pitch, as well as practice it with students or your colleagues. You've also had an opportunity to do a rap deep dive. You've conducted an informal assessment of the rap of your choice. You've also participated in collaborative discussions with your Project Expand colleagues. And I'm hoping that all of these experiences have strengthened your understanding of your role as an apprenticeship ambassador. You have done a lot since that last time. So we're going to see how the things that you've done, how you're going to build on those things that you've done in the work that we're going to do today. So in that, how about those listening sessions? Let's reflect on that. So one of my colleagues are going to drop for you in the chat a Padlet link. What we would like for you to do is to share with your fellow ambassadors any key takeaways from those sessions, right? So I know during those sessions, you had an opportunity to share some different ideas, some insights, resources, some challenges that you may have had, and some possible solutions. So if you access that Padlet, share with us some of those key takeaways. We're going to give you a couple of minutes to do that.
And if it was just that you enjoyed meeting us, I mean, I'll go for that.
Yeah, I will too.
Would you go for that one too? Yeah. That was number one for me.
And then as those things start to populate, if my colleagues could just share some of those ideas out to the group.
It was nice to know that others were facing similar challenges, exploring all aspects of apprenticeship, seeing familiar faces from DC Public Schools and GW. Challenges with students being ready and prepared for apprenticeship. Everyone had a different list of apprenticeship opportunities. It was great to hear others focusing on gaining information for apprenticeships for our students with disabilities. This is one. Interesting to see how others found similar issues with the availability of information on the RAP they explored. So that was something that came out of our listening sessions. I really enjoyed sharing ideas about how to address parent engagement. That was another really big thing. Need the businesses to share real information on their websites. Okay, this is my key takeaway. Just like our students, we don't know it all, and that's okay. There are so many different things I've learned in the short time I've been participating. I'm excited to continue to learn and network. Amazing. Thanks so much.
All righty, so let's go back.
Mm.
Thank you all for sharing your key takeaways. All righty, so let's move on.
So let's talk a little bit about takeaways. This evening, you're going to have an opportunity to gain insights from two of your fellow ambassadors. One will share perspectives from the central office, while the other will provide a school level viewpoint. Both speakers are deeply passionate about apprenticeship, bringing their unique experiences to the table. They will share some of the barriers to implementing apprenticeship programs and discuss how we can collectively harness our voices to ensure a fair playing field for apprenticeship opportunities. So let's welcome Kristen DeSanti. Kristen, are you here?
I am.
I'm so excited. Kristen is the manager of career preparation at DC Public Schools. It's nice to see you again. Thank you so much for offering to share your insights with us. Your question for today, should you choose to answer it, is what challenges have you observed in implementing apprenticeships in schools, and how were those challenges addressed? We're going to take about 3 minutes. If you can do it in 3, we would appreciate
Can I
it.
start now?
Hey, listen. 1, 2, 3, go.
All right, well, I'm just going to jump in.
Yes.
And you can hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay,
perfect.
that didn't count. I'm starting now.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Ms. Sampson, for that intro. And yes, I'm incredibly passionate about this work, as we had a chance to talk about our whys in that last conversation that we had in our small groups. But I don't have a lot of time, so I just got to jump into this. I think one thing I want to start with is, one, just say hello to all the wonderful folks on this call. That I've been doing this work for about 15 years, and many of our paths have crossed, and many of you all are the reasons why I've stayed in this path. So yes, the Next Steppers, the Career Academyers, and the DCPSers. But as you introduced me, I'm from central office. Just real quick, in case you're not like, if you're like, what the heck is that? What school is that? DCPS has a central office. It's filled with so many departments that do so many different things. But uniquely, starting out with like, what are the challenges? I think something that is unique and a power force for what we do, and many of my team members are on this call as well, is that we have a team, a career prep team dedicated to work-based learning along within our CTE department, but as well our supports for students who, what we call career direct supports, for students who are not pursuing a college pathway after they graduate. So we work with all DCPS high schools, providing guidance and resources in that area. Okay, not part of the question, but jumping into my first answer with, we've talked about this in many sessions where the challenge is being the ability to shift that mindset around all students must go to college. Just 5 years ago, I would say that was our still main focus and goal at the district level. So we've seen so much change in the past year. And then also we endured and still enduring, as I can attest from my grocery bill this weekend, the global pandemic. So with the surge of apprenticeship opportunities coming out after that, we've been anxious to respond and be able to provide greater access to those. So in shifting the mindsets on culture, because I'm just going to get in, I just got to get to it. About in 2017, 2018, our team started defining post-secondary pathways into 6 categories. We did this, so it's a 2-year, a 4-year degree, military apprenticeship, career education, and direct employment. And the reason why we did an apprenticeship, my bad, why we're here. Those 6 categories are used. We meet with students in the 9th through 12th grades at all of our high schools. All 9th through 12th graders receive a lesson on post-secondary planning, basically exposing them to those 6 pathways. And the gist of this lesson is, what are your career interests and what path do you want to take to get to that? Really trying to shift that mindset that like there are so many different careers and there's different roads to get to them, right? It seems basic. We know this, we've been doing it forever, but it's hard to implement. And we have now been doing that for several years, and this has helped us. There's still room to grow there. But we really use this mainly to focus on being able to identify and have data to identify the top career interests of our students. So not only we can inform our work-based learning opportunities, but also so that we can specialize and tailor supports, especially in the junior, mostly the senior year, in terms of knowing, okay, these 30 students said that they're interested in apprenticeship, so let's move that to them. So I do want to acknowledge DCPS has always viewed apprenticeships as a post-secondary pathway, something you access after you graduate. However, as youth apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeships have become more popular, we're starting to ban them into those supports as well. One of the other greater challenges that we have is something that I just mentioned. There's so many different definitions for apprenticeships. And that was my main motivation for joining this group, and really excited to dig into that convo, because as a district and as even working with students directly, that's something that I know I can sharpen my understanding of the difference between an apprenticeship, a youth apprenticeship, a pre-apprenticeship, and then all these organizations that call them different things to ensure that we're starting our students in the right direction. Within that, all of those different types of apprenticeship programs comes timelines and applications. I can attest to the time that I have been in schools. Typically when I have was working with students and they expressed interest in a specific apprenticeship, the application opened the following October, or, it was 2 months ago. So missing timelines because they're not on a college schedule, as well as the various applications and requirements that those applications require, whether that is a DCID, a license, and the list goes on and on. So just some of those requirements. Our team, as of this year, and anyone who has met me in the last couple months knows I'm super excited to share this. We have been working to compile all of the different post-secondary options that are so rich in DC in a tool. Yes, it has DCPS's name on it, but everyone can access this. So that's why I wanted to share it in this space where a young person, a staff member, a parent could go and look up the industry of their interest and the pathway, the post-secondary pathway that they're looking to arrive to that career, and find out what opportunities are available. I know people on this call, you may recognize some of your organizations on there. But this was also really to address the other challenge, which is just capacity. Our staff at schools have so much that they're doing. It's not, their only job is not providing content and, helping students arrive to mastery within their core subject areas, but also have so many various tasks that they're trying to do, along with, still the college process is incredibly burden. Like, I'm trying to be more positive. There's a lot of steps to it and it takes a lot of time. So if you think a personal statement takes a while, resumes are brutal, right? So we really wanted to try to have a space that built capacity and to empower our young people to look it up for themselves. So when you're busy in the class and you don't have a moment, you can be like, Gina, Bobby, Roy, I need you to get on this website and start looking, and then let me know what you find, just to build some capacity and to start getting your brain moving. It's by no means an exhaustive list. We are still working on it. It betaed this fall, and I never thought I'd ever use that term. We betaed, but we did. And last but not least, and I believe I won't be alone in this, we struggle really to bring in mentors and guest speakers that can be the faces of apprenticeship. We have in the just DCPS in this past year have started partnering with various organizations that are starting to take on and lead this work, including Federal City Council and City Works DC, that are building out these talent pipelines, but also building a coalition of employers in specific industries right now, specifically construction and hospitality, to really get that rich group of employers that we might be able to pull any specific that offer apprenticeships as an access point to that career. But I know there are many times that I was asked to do a career fair or a career panel, and apprenticeships by far has been, I don't have a Rolodex. Well, first of all, nobody has a Rolodex anymore, but I don't have a contact list of, apprenticeship folks who've been through that model. And I'd add that also look and represent the students of the district. I'm way over 3 minutes, so I'm going to stop. Thanks for listening.
Kristen, thank you so much. I mean, just a plethora of information everyone needs to know that you are a resource. This is our time to network. It's our time to network. Everybody should grab that information from the chat and use it. Thanks so much, Kristen. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Kristen, and don't be upset about you going over, because girl, you gave us some great nuggets. I took some great notes about some of the things that you talked about. And these insights that you kind of shared with us are really going to help us with our next step, because like you said, DCPS launched this tool. That's our next goal at Project Expand. So our goal is that we're going to begin to create a tool that we're going to use as ambassadors to introduce apprenticeships in our schools with our leaders, our parents, and our communities. But today we're just focusing on the brainstorming process, okay? So we're going to look at a couple of opportunities for us to get together in breakout rooms and kind of look at some guiding questions to kind of dig deep. Kristen, what I heard you say was the why behind what we do. So that's what we're really going to be digging deep in today, is we're going to figure out our why so we can make sure that we choose a tool that is going to really meet the needs of our communities in which we serve. So let's go to the next slide, please. So here are just some tool options. I feel like I'm quoting Kristen way too much, but I'm going to quote her when we say this is not an exhaustive list, right? We had a lot of listening sessions. You guys came up with a lot of conversations that even opened our eyes to having different audiences, even employers, for you to be able to use and introduce your tool. So those listening sessions were really powerful because it helped us understand that a tool can reach many different target audiences of people. So these are just some options here, right? These are not exhaustive. You might have your own idea on what tool you want to create, but this is just a list of some things you could use as far as creating a tool. But like I said, today we're going to just do some brainstorming. And so we're going to dig really deep in critical thinking on what is the just right tool that I'm going to create? I used to be a reading language arts teacher. We used to talk about a just right book for our students. When we would select the just right book, it's not too hard, it's not too easy. It challenges us enough, but it also makes sure that we get to the next level and we accomplish our goals, right? So today we're going to brainstorm how we're going to create our just right tool. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so I've already said this. In breakout rooms, you're going to have an opportunity. You're going to collaborate with your peers. And in this process, you're going to think critically about the design and the tool of your choice. The goal of this brainstorm is really to elevate apprenticeships so that the message that we're sending is that it's a viable post-secondary option for our students. So let's continue. Let's look at this graphic organizer. So these are the guiding questions that you're going to discuss once you get into breakout rooms. You're going to be divided by your target audience. So you're going to choose your breakout rooms today. We're not going to put you in rooms. You're going to select the room based upon your target audience. And this tool is going to be most beneficial based upon the audience that you are introducing your tool to. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to do an example together. We're going to choose a targeted skills intervention plan. And we're going to use this tool to walk through some of the brainstorming questions and how they might be answered so that when you're having that dialogue with your colleagues, you'll be more informed to make your decisions. So let's go for it. So if I'm choosing a targeted skills intervention plan, my target audience would be my students. Okay, let's say that I'm an 11th grade reading language arts teacher. Okay, I'm a resource teacher for students with special needs who have an interest in culinary arts. Okay, so that's my target audience. Why is this my audience? Well, one, I'm their teacher, but two, I know that my students are going to need some transition plans since they are nearing towards graduation, right? So my goal is to be able to provide them with a resource for both them and their parents so that upon graduation in their transition plan, they have a clear pathway for post-graduation. So that is my primary goal. So based upon that, my format at this time, I'm going to start with the lesson plan. I'm going to start small because I'm going to start with my students, but I know over time I need to develop additional tools and resources that I can provide with parents so that when I'm in those transition meetings, with them, I can provide them with some tangible items that they can walk away with for their next steps. Okay, so that's my format. Okay, so let's go to the when. When do you anticipate using this tool? I would say it's February now. My anticipation would be for the spring. I know that in the springtime we do testing, right? So I have an alternate bell schedule, which gives me some additional time and some autonomy to be able to roll out some of these activities to expose students at an early age, in an early process. Okay, so that is my win. And I'm going to skip to the how, right? You know, the where's in the classroom. So I'm going to skip to the how. So how will you adapt the tool? So I'm going to make sure that when I'm teaching my students or when I'm using this intervention plan, I'm going to address those reading comprehension and those math calculation goals that are on that IEP, right? So we're going to look at recipes. We're going to look at reading comprehension. Then we're going to look at fractions for those math calculations so I know my students will have practice with measurements. So I'm going to make sure that I'm catering my lesson and designing it so that if they walk into those culinary arts apprenticeships, they will be prepared. Okay, and so the last question, how will this tool address common misconceptions? Well, I know that this is an opportunity to provide my students with the ability to engage in higher level careers and specialty careers, right? They don't have to be shelf stockers. They don't have to be someone who just does any job just to take a job, right? They can walk into something where they're interested and they have a clear, defined pathway. Okay, so those are my responses to the questions. You're going to get a graphic organizer. My colleague's going to drop a link in the chat. And that link will take you to the same graphic organizer that you just saw on the previous slide. Okay, you're going to use that to be able to, once you get in your breakout rooms, you're going to have a discussion. Candace is going to tell you a little bit more about that at this time. Candace?
All right, so thank you so much for that, Elise. In a moment, once I open up the breakout rooms, you're going to select your target audience. Now, just choose the one today. If you decide you want to change it to a different one later on, that's fine. You'll notice that rooms 1 and 2 both have students, because we anticipate that that may be an area that a lot of people may want to select. So we didn't want the rooms to be too large, okay? So we have rooms 1 and 2 are for students. Room 3 is for parents. Room 4, employers and RAPs, registered apprenticeship programs. And room 5 will be teachers and colleagues. So you would select whichever audience is your target audience to go into that specific room. And once you're in that room, you will use those guiding questions to kind of generate some ideas as to a particular tool that you may use with that specific audience, okay? Are there any questions before we open up breakout rooms? And if you have, you can raise a hand or you can drop the question in the chat. Want to make sure everyone's clear before we move. All right. You'll have about 15, 20 minutes in those rooms, just so you know. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open those rooms.
Welcome. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So we hope your time in the breakout rooms was well spent and gave you ample time to collaborate with your fellow ambassadors to brainstorm tool ideas and discuss the why behind your selection. I'm excited to see how you're feeling about your readiness to create this tool. So what I'd like you to do is use your Zoom reactions or your emojis to respond to how you are feeling about the following statement. Are you ready? I am ready to create an effective tool that will best meet the needs of my community or of my target audience. Okay, so right at the bottom, you should see reactions. If you don't see reactions at the bottom of your screen, you're going to go to more, and right at the bottom, you'll see reactions. So you guys, can you tell me what those reactions are? Oh, can you all tell me what those reactions are? Can you see
I
them?
saw confused, uncertain. Let's see. All right, I see one person that seems like they're ready to go. Happy emoji.
Okay. We like the happy. We love the happy. We got to fix those confused. Oh, Chelsea's got a thumbs up. I like that.
We also
Oh,
have a lot of pondering, which is a good thing
oh,
because that means you're being very intentional and you're making sure that you're thinking critically about your choices. So we're okay with pondering as well.
I love the pondering.
Thumbs up.
Oh, I like the heart eyes. I mean, so it's like, I love this.
Oh, I have no idea what to put in the tool.
Okay. So I have no, oh, Jocelyn responded. More pondering. I like the pondering. Thumbs up. I like that, Brian. You're ready to go. This is great. So Jocelyn responded in the chat. I have no idea. Let's see. Okay, so I think that Jocelyn will address those people who have absolutely no idea when she speaks at the end of our session. What about that? We're going to drop the tool once again. because several people said that they didn't have it. So we're going to drop that tool again with the understanding that that is your tool. That's your bank of questions that you need to respond to in response to what your tool is going to be and who your target audience is going to be. So that tool will belong to you. It's going to become a part of your homework. So you want to have your own copy. So we're going to drop that again for you. So we're going to move on. So here we go. We're doing really great with time. We're going to give Ms. Foster a couple of minutes to talk to us. We have yet another treat for you to close out our session. Your fellow ambassador, Hope Foster, DC Public Schools Professional School Counselor, she's going to share her insights about ensuring that apprenticeship opportunities align with students' academic goals and interests. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. We met Hope during one of our listening sessions, and her passion for apprenticeship, like Christians, it is contagious. Hope, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
So we're ready to hear from you.
Hi, everyone. And just because some of my colleagues are on here, guys, I haven't quit and gone to DCPS. I still work for Latin. I'm a charter school counselor, so I don't want my colleagues to think that that I've quit and left them. So I still work for Latin, guys. Love you. This question, and I'll be brief, but I'm going to answer it coming from the responsibility that we have as school people, because I don't want to title it, but school people. How do we ensure that apprenticeship opportunities align with our students' academic goals and interests? One of the things that I'm constantly doing, I'm constantly educating myself on apprenticeships. I think that many times when we bring up the word apprenticeship, it's not seen as an educational strategy. It's just seen as workforce. But as many of you know on this call, apprenticeships are an educational strategy. It ties education and workforce together. And one of the things I am constantly doing, pushing into classrooms, I just left a PD, is educating the teachers on how the interests of our students can show up in apprenticeships. Duncan and Shapiro, it's one of the contacts that I have here at Washington Latin. It's one of the, it's a big construction company. They just told me today, because they're actually coming to my school to do a PD for my teachers, a lot of the plumbing that happens is actually not even done on site. There's so much technology that's being utilized. And so I think when we hear plumbing, right, we automatically go into like the water that we see, the hands-on approach, but there's so much computer science knowledge that is needed for plumbing now. So I think the more we learn and educate ourselves, when students come to us with a variety of interests, we can actually speak to them truthfully about what's available. But if we, apprenticeship, they do a great job of addressing the job market, right? They do a wonderful job of that versus a college degree. When you're sitting there 4 years, the job market is steadily changing, but apprenticeships are happening and they're up to date. They know what's actually happening. We have to continue to educate ourselves so that when we are talking to students, like if a student comes to you about IT, you won't just think about it, well, you got to do computer science or you got to do IT in this way. You can think about all the possibilities that exist in IT in the apprenticeship market that may be in plumbing or HVAC or finance or whatever way that IT exists. But if we don't have that knowledge, we can't help align our students' interests. They don't know that because they haven't been doing that work. We know that because we've been connecting with people who are currently in the field. We've been connecting with them so that they can inform us, so that as students are coming to us, regardless of what it is, we can share back to them accurate information as as we see the market continuously change. So I just make sure that I'm constantly bringing in, talking to, however, communicating with people who are in the field, so that as students, whether it's through, we have a junior portfolio, students have to complete that by the end of their junior year. They have to share with us their interests, their hopes, their dreams. I'm sure other schools do the same thing. Well, when we pull out that information, how do we align that with apprenticeship opportunities? And how can we truthfully align that with apprenticeship opportunities if we don't know what's happening in the apprenticeship sector? We have to keep a pulse on what is actually happening. We have to be in contact with those people who are in the field. And that's how I align those interests and those goals with our students.
Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Hope. Gave us all a lot to think about. I mean, what we have heard so much from you and from Kristen. I didn't say her name right at first. I'm sorry. From you and Kristen. What I'd like you to do is I want you to take a minute to reflect on the perspectives that were shared by Kristen and Hope. Their insights have really given us a lot to ponder. How do you envision integrating or applying their insights in the decisions you make regarding your tool? I just want you to take a minute to think about it. I don't want you to write anything down. Just take a minute to think about it. So I know many of us are educators, and one of the most powerful tools that we use is wait time. So we give you a minute to think. I'm excited to say that we have a minute, and it would be nice to hear from one person who can tell us what those insights or the different perspectives, how they have helped you. Anybody can come off mute.
Hi, this is Maria. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, Maria.
Okay, only took an hour to get me through. My perspective briefly, it just made me think tonight that I probably need to get to some key stakeholders at our school to make sure that they're on the same page, because they would have to help us facilitate some of these things that we need to get done. And if they're not on our side or not agreeing with our vision, then it would be very challenging to accomplish the goals.
That's great. So we know that as we move forward, we have to look at not only our target audience, but our stakeholders, all of our stakeholders, in order to get it done. I mean, it takes a village. It's quite cliche, but it certainly does. Maria, thank you for sharing with us. We're going to move to thank you. So here we go. Jocelyn is going to talk to us a bit about what's next. Jocelyn,
Awesome.
are you there?
I am here. Hello, everyone. Okay, so today is February 6th. Between February 6th and our next session, which is on March 5th, we'll be very laser focused on our tool. So we want to spend a lot of time developing our tool, reflecting on our tool, and using the rubric to kind of help us think through how best to create and be able to implement that tool. So there are two ways while you're developing your tool that we'd like to support your efforts. So the first way is now we are just semi-obsessed with our Collaborate and Connect sessions. So we'll have, we're going to send you a meeting invitation with 4 Collaborate and Connect sessions. No, you don't have to attend all 4. They are completely optional, but there are opportunities for you to pop in either for 10 minutes or 45 minutes. Collaborate, connect with your colleagues, with your Project Expand colleagues, and the Project Expand team. We're happy to brainstorm, throw things against the wall, work through stuff, answer questions, just kind of operate as like a team, all working towards the same goal. So check your calendar and just accept what you would like to attend and decline what you won't attend. And then we're going to have our cooperative site visits. So this is our first opportunity to actually come to your sites, your schools, your offices, and continue to support you with your tool. So there are opportunities for us to understand your setting, for us to support the development of your tool, and then, if possible, to observe your tool in action. No pressure at all to have your tool completely finished and rolled out. It can just be an opportunity for us to sit down and take a look at things, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, which is seeing everything in action. But we do want to get them scheduled, and we do want to come to your spaces and really support you and connect in these cooperative visits. So after this meeting, just check your inbox. Callie will send you an email, and you'll receive a link so that you can sign up for those sessions. Our next CBD section is on March 5th. So between now and then, I will come do the site visits, and my colleague Lynn Elliott will join me on the site visits. Lynn, you want to give a wave? And so we'll be conducting the site visits. So we will see you in your spaces in the next couple of weeks. Awesome. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jocelyn. Appreciate it. So here you go. There are a couple of things going on. We need your feedback. We can't give you what you want or what you need if you don't let us know. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, and we want to ensure that these sessions meet your needs. So we need you to take a moment before you sign off, please. Take a moment and complete the survey. You have been amazing today, and we appreciate you, and we look forward to our next collaborative professional development session.